friends. It's early spring in Bincotton Bridge, and when we last left this little settlement, we were talking about waiting for our young adults to become laborers, and that has happened. One has become a laborer. We've gone from one laborer to two. We were talking about finally getting a forester going. We were talking about replenishing our missing fishermen. We had taken a fisherman off because we needed him for something else. And we were trying to keep that food under control. Right now we have a population of 25 citizens and a food supply of 3,600 food, which is enough to feed 36 citizens for a year. So although I like to have double the amount of food that I need, I think it's important to grow the population. So I think it's time to add another house. So let's do that. Let's put another stone house in. That's right, it's not going to fit in there. Our placement is suboptimal. So let's flip this house around. We may end up putting something else here. Let's flip this house around and tuck it in next to the blacksmith. How does that sound? Right. I think we said that this over here was where our marketplace was going to go. And yeah, we can't fit two houses next to the blacksmith either, so it really is suboptimal placement. Alright, let's check the range on our forester. Okay, it's way back there, so we don't have to worry. Settling in here will not interfere with the forester. So let's, or the hunter or anything like that. So let's go across the street then, and we'll put our new house there. Alright, we just picked up another laborer. Our storage for produced goods is near capacity, so we really do need some people to eat that stuff. Let's queue up a couple of builders to get that house built. And we may need to add another storage barn. Let's see, what else is our situation here? Alright, so we're very low on stone. We're going to need some more stone. There's a large pile of it here. So let's tell our citizens to get out there and gather up that stone. There's a lot of it here. That'll take care of our stone problems. Alright. Alright, now as you can see, our farmers are quickly harvesting up that food. We're up to 4,600 food now. That's enough for 23 people for 2 years. So that's pretty much right where we want it to be. This is very good news. And yes, we're running out of storage capacity, but we've got plenty of food. It's better to have too much food than to have too little. Alright, our house got built. Let's pause the game for a second and see if anybody got in there. Looks like it's occupied. Okay, so Park and Bonnie, I think the last time we saw Park was a young teenager. They're now in their, well, he's in his early 20s and she's in her late 20s, and they are primed to have children. So now that they're in a house by themselves, I think we're going to see some new children appearing on the scene almost immediately. And I think we're going to add one more house. Now, I know we just got the food under control, but the thing is, by not creating houses, you know, I said earlier that it can cause the birth rate to stagnate, which might be necessary, right? However, if you leave your birth rate stagnant for too long, you can have a very unique problem. What can happen is your elders become too old to have children and they start dying off, leaving you with a population of mostly very old people and very young people, which means you're going to get to a point where you will run out of laborers. You'll have a whole bunch of kids who can't do anything, and your workforce, which is keeping the community alive, will be dying off. So you have to, playing Banished is really a, well, it's a balancing game. It's a, not balancing game, balancing act. That's the phrase I'm looking for. You really have to work hard to keep everything just so. Alright, so our people are off gathering stone. We don't have enough to make that house yet, so let's mark out a new grid line. Let's see, how wide was this square here? It was 16, so let's do 16 here. 16, and then I think it was also 16 in this direction. Yeah, that looks right. And we'll pull that back there. And we will just tell our citizens to gather everything that's in that square. All resources. Take it all! Kill them all! Let God sort them out! Yeah, we'll clear all that out of there. That'll get us more wood, so on and so forth. Ah, look at that. Good news. The baby parade has begun. We got 3 new kids. Alfred Rick. Okay. Menachery and Calvis. Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm sure that some of those kids are in this new house. Yep, Menachery showed up in here. And I'm sure as soon as some people move into here, we'll definitely have some more kids. And I think we'll stop with houses. We have 2 laborers, and we also have 2 builders. Even though the food is mostly under control... Actually, the food is mostly under control. I don't think I want to replenish that fisherman just yet. Instead, let's get our forester online. I mean, as you know, these people need a constant supply of firewood, which we've set at a limit of 200, but we only have 83 firewood stored right now. We only have 84 logs. We really need a steady supply of logs. So let's get our forester online. Let's take one of these laborers and kick him over as a forester. What he'll do is he'll work in this area, gathering logs, until he's gathered 200, or until the stored log limit is at 200. And then he'll also replant the area. And what that means is it makes it even more important for us to gather up this stone and iron, because obviously he can't plant trees where there are rocks. So we'll want our villagers to come into this region and clear the rocks out so that the forester can forest up this land. And the other upside of this is the more heavily forested this land is, the more food that our gatherer will produce, because more things will grow under the tree cover, and the more food that our hunter will produce. That's why these groups of buildings, forester, hunter, and gatherer, you generally group them together. They all help each other out. Well, the forester helps the other two. So I think that's what we want to do. And then the next order of business will be, what do we have here? Yeah, we already have a blacksmith. We already have a woodcutter. We're down to only 2 coats in storage. We have lots of leather, so we could make hide coats, but we have no tailor. So the next order of business with our next laborer will be, I think, to create a tailor, because we've got to get someone making clothes. And at that point, if our situation with storage has not improved, we'll have to make another barn. But the upside of creating more citizens is that those citizens will consume more goods and it will help us balance things. You can see over here there's some tools just lying on the ground. There's no room for them in storage. So they're just sitting out here. There's a box of fish just sitting out here. There is absolutely no room in that barn. So you can see also here, what else have they gathered? That looks like maybe onions or roots or something. There's a gatherer with some berries. So as they're clearing this area, they're also picking all these little plants and bringing those in, and there's just no room for them. Each new house, of course, we picked up another pair of people in their 20s. Each new house has its own storage. So every time you create a house, the people who live there go to the barn and fetch some stuff and store it in the house. So that also will help manage the storage. But hey, of all the problems to have, not having enough storage space for all of our food, that's a really good problem to have. It's much better than the alternative, not having enough food. Alright, there go our builders. They're clearing this area, making dirt road. Ultimately, we may want to upgrade some of these dirt roads to stone roads, because your citizens will travel faster on stone roads. Alright, we're still looking pretty good. We are at 2 builders and 2 laborers. I really would like to have 1 more laborer before I make a tailor, but I think we're going to jump ahead and just go ahead and do it now. Because the situation with the coats is becoming a problem. It's late winter right now. And as soon as 2 more citizens show up and say, hey, we need coats, we're going to have a problem. So, let's get that tailor set up now, and he can work all summer, and hopefully by the winter we'll have, a goodly supply of coats in storage. So I think it's time to create that tailor. So we'll go here to resource production, choose the tailor, and yeah, he'll fit perfectly right there. And there's some trees and some wild food there, so that'll be a little bit more supplies. It's probably going to be a big hit on our stone. 16 stone, I guess it's not that bad. This symbol tells us that the blacksmith is at capacity. We told him to make 25 tools, and there's 34 in storage, so he's like, yeah, we got plenty. Alright, the farmers are out planting, and we're already overloaded on food. Another thing we can do is we can create a trader at some point and trade away excess food. But for now, it may be time to create another storage barn. So let's have a look. Oh, geez. Tailor's not... That's right, the tailor's not built yet. So we are going to have to assign a tailor. 2 builders of 3. There are 3 jobs available. I guess it takes 3 builders to build a tailor. So we'll kick another builder out there. I really hope we pick up another laborer. I don't want to go down to like 1 laborer and 2 builders or something like that. Alright, we got a new child, Catherine. Okay. So let's go ahead and kick our tailor in the butt there. There you go. Very good. And now we have no laborers at all, so let's drop our builders down to down to 2, I guess. And so there's another thing we're going to need very, very soon, and that is a school. Uneducated citizens are not very productive. They're both slow and inefficient, so they won't produce as quickly as they should, they won't produce as much as they should. It'll take them longer to get jobs done. Uneducated builders take longer to build, so on and so forth. We really do want to get a school going in our village. So that's also a high priority. Now let's take a look over here. See how things are looking here. Alright, so now you may notice here that we have some new trees, these little trees, these little saplings. Those are being planted by the forester. And left to his own devices, he will pack this yellow circle with trees while he's still bringing in wood. Now, we're at 58 wood, so that means the forester is also occasionally going to chop a tree down to add more logs to the stockpile. Alright, so I think we do really want a school, but I think we ought to address the storage issue and create another barn. We may end up knocking the barn down later, we'll see. So, we are at 33 iron and 10 stone, and a barn requires 16 stone and 48 logs. Wow. I'm kind of low on wood. Oops, why did I close that window? I do that from time to time. Don't do that. Keep that window open. Alright. We are going to need more wood, and we're going to need more stone. So let's send our citizens off and start making the forester's job easier for them. Let's clear that stone. And then, unfortunately, we're going to have to take down some more trees. I mean, ultimately, we know we're going to put houses in this square. So let's collect the let's just collect all the resources in that square, like that. All right, so that will give us an influx of stone and wood. We have 2 builders and 1 laborer. Nothing's being built, so right now, essentially, we have 3 laborers. Yes. Storage capacity is full. Yeah, we really do have to get that barn built because we are already in summer. They're already starting to harvest the cabbages, so... Alright. 16 stone, 62 wood. That is enough to build a barn. So let's start building the barn. Alright. Now, the thing about this storage barn, it's a starting barn, of course it was there. It's not really lined up with the grid. You see that? It just sort of crosses the line. If we were going to extend this grid, this road would run right through this barn. That's kind of derpy. So if we're going to put a barn here, let's put it on the grid. So I think we'll put this one here. Someday we may take that one down and move it. For now, this is okay. Alright. Alright. They are starting to clear the wood here, which says to me they probably have already removed all of the stone. Oh, they removed most of it. There's still a little bit left. I don't understand how the AI prioritizes who does what jobs. Sometimes it doesn't actually seem to make a lot of sense. Alright. So yeah, there's a lot of food and stuff in there. Alright, so having a second barn will... Oh. Alright, so this is interesting. This symbol, which you're used to seeing over the woodcutter and over other services, basically says, oh, we've reached our production limits and we're going to stop producing. Basically, they're not going to harvest these crops because we're at 5,000 food, and currently our food production limit is 5,000. Well, I don't want those crops to just rot. I want them stored. We're getting a new barn in line, so let's raise our production limits. Let's set them to 10,000. It's going to be a while before we produce that much food. And there you go. Now we're producing food. Now we have a second barn. So this barn will now be able to take on the overflow. Yep, stuff's piling in here now. I don't know if they're actually redistributing things. I don't think they are. 33% full. Wow. It just gives you a sense of how much was waiting to be stored. Okay. Alright, so the woodcutter says we have all the wood we need. The blacksmith says we have all the tools we need. And the tailor is still very busy. We only have 6 coats. We had 2 at the beginning of summer, so he has made 4 coats. We'll just let him do his thing. And I think the next laborer we pick up is going to be a school teacher. I think that's definitely in line. I mean, I've been talking about replenishing that fisherman, but look at our food. You know, we're almost at enough food to feed 70 people for a year, which is nearly, excuse me, well, it's more than twice what we have. I get a sip of my tea there. We definitely don't need that much food, so I'm not going to worry about food consumption right now. But things can change quickly, so we got to keep an eye on this. Okay, so I mean, the other thing we can do, for example, we have potatoes, cabbage, potatoes, potatoes, cabbage. All right, so what we could do, why isn't that being harvested? I just haven't gotten around to it. what we could do is we could take one of these fields offline. We could click this button and say, okay, don't work that cabbage field. And then they won't work it. Let's go here. So that produced 180 cabbage in the current season and 180 cabbage in the previous season. Yeah, you have people to work there. Don't tell me you don't. Thank you. 180 is a very small portion of this number. This guy, this field produced cabbage. Wonder how that's possible. This field is producing almost 500 food. So we could, as an experiment, tell them not to plant that field next year. We have plenty of food, and maybe it's okay. That allows us to lower our number of farmers by 2, by the way. That increases our laborers, which I think is good. So let's focus on education, because with education, these people will produce more food with less fields, so this will definitely be coming back online as the population grows. Yep, a child named Nanelia was born, so we're doing pretty good here. Things are working out. There's a deer just marching through town. Don't mind us, we're just going to hang out over here in town. Don't tell the hunter. The hunter probably lives in one of these houses. Both of these people are hunters. They live right here. They're going to get home from work. They're going to be walking back to the house and go, what the hell? Why didn't we just stay home today? Alright. Only in Banished. Alright. I think it's time to make a school. And this is really the beginning of making our town a better place. Oh, there is one other thing we should create, and we should probably do it first, and that's a well. Why create a well, you might ask? Go ahead, ask. The reason you might create a well is your town might burn down if you don't, so let's create a well. If there's a fire, your citizens will form a bucket brigade, and they will carry water from the well to the fire in an effort to put the fire out. So clearly, we would like to facilitate that. We have this dead space back here that we can't really use, so I think that's a perfect place to drop a well. It's going to require 4 builders. Let's see what its consumption is. My goodness, it takes 40 stone to build a well. Alright, so it's going to use all of our stone. That's all of our stone, not all of our stone. So let's go in here, and let's have our citizens polish off some more of this stone. There's a little bit scattered here and there. There's some there, there's some there. Alright, and over here where our forester is, we definitely want to try to get this stone out of there. Yeah, see, this is where our hunters are working. See that? That's venison, and that's hide, or leather. When the hunter makes a kill, this stuff just drops on the ground, and then somebody else comes along, picks it up, and takes it to the storage barn. Alright, so that's a goodly supply of stone. All of our farmers are not occupied, because the fields are empty, and it's cold. So, yeah, the reserve of stone is low. You noticed. I'm way ahead of you. So all of our farmers are available to go out there and gather up that stone, so fortunately we still have a lot available. As the stone gets harder and harder to find, we're eventually going to have to think about creating a quarry. But I don't think we want to do that until our citizenry is much more populous. We're going to need a lot more people before we start talking about creating mines and quarries. But in this episode, I'd really like to get that school set up. So let's get that taken care of. Yeah, very busy little bees. Man, those deer are just hanging out in town. Oh, there they go. I guess they got the message. Alright, 43 stone. And more is coming in, so now would be a good time to make a school. That's a town service. Schoolhouse. The well built. The well is built. The other nice thing about a well is it helps to make your citizens happy. For whatever reason, well, I guess the reason is obvious. A well is sort of a community area where people will congregate. And as you watch your villagers running around, not so much in the winter, but you'll notice that when they're not working, they will hang out near the well. Once the marketplace is in, they'll also hang out in the marketplace. And once we put in a cemetery, they'll also hang out at the cemetery. So, alright, yeah, we can't fit the schoolhouse there. Looks like we're putting services here, so this seems as good a place as any. Can we squeeze it in? We can. We can tuck it in right behind the blacksmith. So that's where our little school is going to go. One of the things you can't do with this game, which I kind of wish you could, is you can't name things. I can't click on a villager and change their name, or at least I don't see any way to do it. Maybe there's a way to do it. I can't change the name of the blacksmith. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to click on this and change this to whatever? You know, Rodrigo's Armory, or you know, something like that, or Stone Age Fashions for your tailor shop. Alright, now the tailor is telling us he doesn't have the materials he needs to build, to craft. He's making hide coats. Hide coats require leather, and we're all out. He's used it up. But we have 42 hide coats, which is plenty, and the hunters will continue to make leather. More importantly, our woodcutter is saying, hey, I don't have any logs. We have used up all the logs. We used them up because we had to build this school. It seems like we may actually, let's knock that down to 2. We don't need 4 builders right now. It seems like we may need to put a second forester in. In fact, let's just do that. Let's throw another guy in the forestry shack. Yep, I see more baby trees. That's a good thing. But we're going to need some more wood. We do not want to be running out of firewood. So, as much as I hate cutting down trees, I think it's in our best interests to just clear this whole area, because that's the same size as our grid, which means ultimately we are going to work there. We're going to have a marketplace here, so let's clear that. And heck with it, we might as well clear this area as well. We have a lot of citizens who aren't busy yet. Uh-oh, it's early spring. Well, we're going to lose the farmers very shortly, so let's get as much wood as we can. I guess if we were going to run out of wood, early spring is a good time for it, so you know, we've gotten through the worst of the winter. There we go. 47 logs. Reserve of logs is low. Yeah, I noticed before you did. That's one thing you'll notice. If you wait for the game to tell you that a reserve is low, you may actually be in serious trouble. You might not want to wait. You've got to really get in the habit of keeping your eye on these numbers. Alright, so we have 6,600 food stored. That's enough for 2 years, and we are just starting to plant now. So I think we're pretty good. I don't think we actually need to plant this field. I think we're going to get away without it. We'll see what happens. Ultimately, as time goes on, you'll build a town hall, and with a town hall you can get much better information about the production and the consumption of your citizens, and that can help you plan a little bit better as to, you know, how you're going to see to their needs, what you're going to prioritize as far as projects. Alright, so we have a school. It's built. There are no students yet, but there are 5 children available to become students. So let's put someone in there who is a teacher. Teacher is right here. We have 3 laborers. Let's kick one into the teacher's position. Here's an interesting thought. This is something that kind of weirds me out about this game. No one in the town is educated. Who's the teacher? Oh boy. That's fine. That's fine. You know, the teacher must be the one guy in town who owns a book. So who was our teacher? Doesn't say here. I think what you can do is if you click this button here, this right arrow next to each position, you can find out who's actually working in that position. Let's just find out who the teacher is. The teacher is Remy. His name is Remy. He's very happy. He's 44 years old. He has fair clothing, Oh, it says he is educated. I wonder if it switches him to educated because he's becoming a teacher. It's interesting. Alright. Alright. Well, we have a teacher, a decent supply of food. Our storage problems seem to have been resolved. Looks like we have a good supply of wood, stone. Iron is dwindling a little bit. There is iron interfering with our forester over here, I think. Let me just see. There's a little bit of iron over here. We're going to have to gather this up eventually. There's a little patch of it here. But there's a big patch right here near town. Let's have our unoccupied citizens just come over here and gather up this iron. We know we're going to need it, so. But I think we're in a very good place here. So I think we can draw this episode of Bincotton Bridge to a close. Is that our forester? No, that's the hunter. That the forester? Nope, that's the gatherer. Oh boy. I wanted to find the forester. I guess I can't. Alright, well, let's conclude this episode by following this hunter around and just watch him do his job. I want to thank you for joining me today playing Banished, and I hope you'll come back. We still have a lot of things to do in this town. We're going to need to get our marketplace set up eventually. We're going to need to set up a trading post, get a trader in here so we can start trading for goods. That's a great way to deal with issues if you're low on iron and your blacksmith is just not able to produce. A trader can roll into town with a big bundle of steel tools, and you can restock by trading. Some people take this game to extremes. They build huge communities and get to a point where they have dozens and dozens of trading stations, and they can pretty much sustain themselves almost entirely on trading. I've never actually done that, but that will be something maybe we can look at when we get further into this. So thank you for joining me. I hope you'll come back, and until then, bye-bye.